Hello and welcome to another video in my series about the Aventuria Almanac, and this time it is about the Dwarves of Aventuria, about their kingdoms. And this spot here marks one of their kingdoms. Actually, this is not quite correct, because in the Middle Realm there are three different dwarf cultures living, all in this area, but this is probably the most important place for the dwarves and the most important kingdom. But they also live in the mountains here to the south, to the north, and they are all different cultures, independent kingdoms, not belonging to this kingdom. And also there are dwarves who live in these mountains here, outside the Midden Realm, and in the south here, in this area. And there are also dwarven settlements up here, and they are not necessarily a different culture, but they are kind of independent from the ones who are down here and who are the central area where the dwarves live. And I think also in the east here there is also a dwarven settlement which belongs to one of their cultures. So you basically can find them in a lot of mountains in all over Aventuria, in the Midden Realm and outside the Midden Realm. So this place here is the kingdom of Xolosh. And this is also where the city Xolosh is located. And Xolosh was the first settlement of the dwarves, and it was founded at the time when there was just one kingdom and one culture of dwarves, before they split for various reasons into different cultures. And the dwarven here are the typical dwarf you would think of when you know the dwarves from the Lord of the Rings. They are called the Ord dwarves. They're very traditional, very conservative. They also have a high emphasis on tradition in their culture. They try to hold up old values and see themselves as the defender of these old values and the old way of living for the dwarves, whereas other dwarven cultures have moved away from this traditional way of living. And Xolosh is also the center of the religion of all dwarves, because it is the location of the most important temple of their god Angrosh. Angrosh is equivalent to Ingrim in the 12 gods pantheon, and Angrosh created the dwarves at one point, and he is the god of smiths and craftsmen, just like Ingrim is in the pantheon of the 12 gods. And the dwarves here, as I said, are like the normal dwarves you would find in a lot of fantasy settings, living under the earth, good craftsmen, good smiths, and so on, using crossbows, and so on. And to the south, there is the kingdom of the southeast, there is the kingdom of the forged dwarves, and they are a bit less conservative than and traditional like the Ord dwarves. They're a bit more outgoing, a bit more aggressive. They are the fuel for a lot of the prejudice humans have about dwarves, that they're loud and drink a lot of beer, and it's easy to get into brawl with them and so on. So they're still pretty traditional, but they are not as conservative and not as strict in their way of living as the Ord dwarves are. To the north, in the human kingdom of Kosh, there is a kingdom of the hill dwarves, and they are pretty much the halflings or the hobbits of Aventuria. The hobbits of Aventuria. They live in hills, similar to the hobbits, and for them it's more important to have a good life, and they are not so much concerned with traditions and so on. They're still good craftsmen and good smiths, but they're more concerned with certain hobbies they indulge in and try to have a good life, and food is very important for them and these things. And for example, the most well-known beer, the Ferdok Pale Ale, coming from the city of Ferdok, was created by hill dwarves, and it's probably the most well-known beer in Aventuria. Then there is also the kingdom of the Diamond Dwarfs, which was originally located here until the Boborat invasion, when they had to give up their kingdom and their cities and relocate it to the southwest here into the Rushtul Mountains, close to the city of Farsar. They're currently building a new kingdom and new cities, and they pretty much left most of what they had behind here in their old cities, and even the king was left behind, or he chose to stay there and defend the mountains against the attacking dwarves and the forces of Borat. And it's not quite clear what is the current status of this area in the kingdom and the cities they left here. They sealed off part of their cities, so what was within there, the demons that were in this area, couldn't get out, and they also, to protect what was in there, what they left behind. And it's currently not clear what happened after they left. This was 20 years ago. So there is something to explore and to find out what happened to the dwarves there. And the story of the fight against Boborat and how they left and relocated to the Rushtul Mountains is part of an adventure you can play. The Diamond Dwarves are the artists and the philosophers, or something like that, of the dwarves. They like, for example, lyrics and arts in general. They're also good smiths, but they will not produce so much weapons and armor, which they are good at, but also they will create jewelry of high quality and things like that. And they are also not that traditional and that strict in their way of living as the Ore Dwarves are, for example. Aside from these 4 kingdoms of dwarves or cultures of dwarves, there are also other dwarves which are not described in the core rules. I think they are not described. There are the deep dwarves, which are said to be what is left of the city of Umratzim. Umratzim was once a city somewhere in the Orc territory, and it's not really clear where it was located, but at the time where it was still known, it was the richest city of the dwarves in Aventuria, because they had a unique item, the gold eye, which allowed them to look into the earth and see where gold is located, or where they could find ores or any riches within the mountains. And they used this item, of course, and it made them very rich, but the legend says that they were too greedy and got punished by the gods for what they did, or by their god for their greed, and this basically destroyed them. And ever since this time, people are looking for this lost city of the dwarves in the mountains here in the north, and because they believe the riches are still there, and this gold eye may still be there and may be of use. And the deep dwarves are said to be what is left of the city. They are a degenerated kind of dwarves. They live in hiding. They're very primitive. They have pale skin, nearly lost all of their hair, and are nothing like the dwarves they once were. They live in the mountains here in the north, but also they are said to live in other areas and even in cities in the Midden Realm, where they live in the sewers or something, where no one can see them. Another tribe of dwarves or culture of dwarves is living here in the east, in the Brazen Sword. They're a very primitive culture, but they're not degenerated like the deep dwarves or something. They're just like dwarven barbarians. They live in mountains. They build their cities into mountains, but often they will just live in caves or something like that, and they're simply not that advanced. But they are said to have a large kingdom there. There also are rumors that they at one point managed to dig through the brazen sword to the other side, where the unknown territory is, where the giants are said to live, and but it's not really clear and is not very much known about these wild dwarves, as they are called. So that's everything I wanted to say about the dwarves, I think. And if you have any specific question, then you can comment and I will try to answer your question. Else, thanks for the attention and goodbye till the next video.